welcome everybody. My name is Lou Arnold, and I am the lay leader at Hope United Methodist Church, and I want to welcome you to our fourth posting of A View from the Pew with Lou. And the intention of our video blog is to stimulate a dialogue between the congregation and the leadership of Hope United Methodist Church through your response to this particular offering. Now, this is our fourth installment, and basically what we've been doing is unpacking our vision and mission statement. As you may recall, our first version of the blog was to talk about connecting. Our vision is connecting with God, connecting with each other, and connecting with our community as we grow as mature disciples of Jesus Christ. And our vision is to experience God and share the love of Jesus. Now you can see, and as we explained before, how important connecting, active involvement in your spiritual life and in the life of the community is really what we see as a primary mark here at Hope. Last week we talked about the primary connection, and that is with God, and how that experience of God and how that relationship with God as it grows moves us out into connection with others and with our community. So today I wanted to stop and kind of unpack, connecting with each other. And I thought to myself, I probably shouldn't do that all alone. And so I thought that I would invite Britt Holmgren, our Director of Youth Ministries, to sort of share in a dialogue about connecting with each other. And if you'll give us a minute, we'll be right back. Hey, so welcome back again. Britt and I are here. And again, we wanted to focus on what it means to connect with one another. And, I think there's lots of ideas about that. Take, for example, Hope to Connect, which we are having another installment of, right, on the 25th?
Yes, yeah, the 25th.
And the theme will be?
An ice cream social.
So you need to
right after Sunday morning.
Exactly. Come on down, because if you are late, may not be a lot of ice cream. But no, we don't want to say that. So, there are different ideas, right? That's one way, and maybe for a lot of people, the way to connect. But as far as you're concerned, when you hear in our vision statement that we're going to connect with each other, help me understand what you mean.
Well, I sometimes have a different perspective because of working with teenagers and young adults and stuff. And so a lot of times when I think about connection, like you first kind of jump to the ideas of like an online kind of connection,
sure.
Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat and all these different social media platforms that essentially promote this idea of connecting with people, connecting with people that you're friends with already and making new friends and all kinds of stuff like that. And yet at the same time, we all kind of know that those forms of media are mere shadows of what like true, authentic connection and relationship really is. Now, part of the reason they've exploded is because people yearn for that kind of connection. Okay. And so I honestly kind of come back to the simpler idea of like a real friendship, like a real relationship with someone that spans both good times and bad times and all those kind of things without the kind of the simplicity that seems to happen from an online connection. We've shortened everything to like quick blurbs, rather than like some level of a deeper connection.
So give me an example of what that would look like among the youth. How do you see connection for them?
Well, and it's something that comes and goes, and we're the youth group right now is in this really interesting transition phase as some really, really awesome kids are starting to graduate and grow up and be adults, which is kind of what they're supposed to do. It's what we want to see as a church, is them starting to connect more towards college and what they're going to be doing after high school. And so that's left a weird kind of feeling with the youth group, and a lot of younger students and middle schoolers and stuff, they're still kind of trying to figure out their way. But what I would say for connection in youth group specifically, that looks like kids that are what we would call clique busting, where they have their groups of friends that they're closer with, but they really can connect with each other no matter which friend group they're part of or which school they go to in the area, and so on. And little things like when they pick teams for the game, they are not really worried about which friend they're with. They're just worried about having fun with the whole group. Or something simple like after a Sunday night, rather than them all kind of running outside right away to get picked up and go, they try and hang out together a little bit more. Maybe even make plans on their own to go get Starbucks or ice cream or something. Things that show that the relationship is really what they're after. And so seeking that in a lot of different avenues rather than just accepting the couple of hours of youth group or the couple of hours of Bible study or whatever it ends up being.
Okay, well, I think that's a thing. I mean, if I hear you, there is relationship, and I think there's something present among them as they gain each other's confidence and trust and as they interact. Actually, it's an interesting thing. The founder of Methodism, John Wesley, he actually had a name for that sort of attitude of connecting with each other. He called it Christian conferencing. And basically, his idea was that we're better at evoking God's presence together than we would be all by ourselves.
Yeah.
But it's a profound idea that you find in Methodism, because he didn't think of that just in the worship service, which I think a lot of people jump to right away.
An easy connection.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this sort of thing, social, we get together. But he understood that attitude to really pervade the entire life of the church. So, while it's probably easier to say that, well, yes, the pastor and the worship leader, they pray and they share together, in developing worship, Wesley's thought was that ought to apply to the finance committee. That ought to apply to the people that are talking about facilities. That should apply to any Bible study you would see. It would apply to meeting a stranger on the patio. The sense of evoking God's presence through communicating and sharing the life of my discipleship and your discipleship, which I think that great example of the kids wanting to do something just beyond the program of youth. And I think that's exactly what we are trying to talk about when we talk about connecting with each other. And I think that, it's kind of up to us and it's up to you to see that as the way we work. When you're involved in the life of the church, you are connecting with one another, you're sharing who you are, you're listening to who that other person is, and together. And Jesus had an interesting point about that. Why come and get involved in my life and hide it under a bushel? That little thing that we teach to our children, right? But it requires an intentionality, and it requires a desire, again, to connect with one another. Any final thoughts?
I love that when we think about connection, it's not just me and you sitting here, but that in reality, we're sitting here with people online who are watching as well, but that whole community is intertwined with God with us.
Exactly.
And the God with you. I think there's been a couple times in my life where I've been like with friends or family or something like that. We're in a conversation and we're laughing or we're around the dinner table, and like something in the back of my head, something in my heart just goes, and this is kind of what heaven is like. This level of connection and level of relationship with people, like this is a little taste of what heaven really is and what God's kingdom is really about.
And I think that's incredibly important, because that kind of forms the character and the sense of who we are and what we do. So, connection, it's really what it's all about. Connecting with God first, connecting with each other right there at the same time. Thank you for coming aboard with us, and we'll see you next week.